Bonjour, tertarik melanjutkan kuliah di Prancis? Yuk simak apa saja keuntungan jika kuliah di Prancis. Sebagai negara penerima mahasiswa asing terbanyak kelima di dunia, Prancis menawarkan pendidikan berkualitas di berbagai bidang. Kekuatan Prancis dalam perekonomian dunia juga diimbangi oleh penelitian dan inovasi yang terdepan. Saat ini, bahasa Prancis merupakan bahasa internasional. Belum bisa bahasa Prancis? Jangan khawatir, tersedia juga perkuliahan dengan 100% bahasa Inggris. Jenjang perkuliahan di Prancis menggunakan sistem satuan kredit Eropa dan diakui di seluruh dunia. Prancis merupakan salah satu negara dengan biaya pendidikan terendah di Eropa berkat bantuan subsidi langsung sebesar 70% dari pemerintah. Temukan juga berbagai kesempatan beasiswa unggulan untuk kuliah di Prancis. Selain subsidi langsung biaya kuliah, manfaatkan subsidi akomodasi, asuransi kesehatan, transportasi, dan kegiatan budaya. Anda juga diizinkan bekerja paruh waktu untuk menambah uang saku. Kangen berkumpul dengan mahasiswa Indonesia? Perhimpunan Pelajar Indonesia di Prancis menyambut Anda di berbagai kota. Setelah lulus, Anda akan bergabung dengan France Alumni Indonesia bersama ratusan ribu alumni Prancis di dunia. Dan pastinya, berbagai kesempatan profesional menunggu Anda. 5 perwakilan kampus France Indonesia siap membantu untuk berkonsultasi mengenai rencana kuliah Anda. Kunjungi www.indonesia.campusfrance.org untuk informasi terkait program studi, beasiswa, cara mendaftar kuliah, dan pengajuan visa pelajar. Jangan lupa ikuti media sosial Kampus France Indonesia dan dapatkan berbagai informasi terkini seputar kuliah di Prancis. Merci, kuliah di luar negeri, pilih Prancis.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to introduce myself first. My name is Verna. I am from Pradita University student passed on hospitality and tourism major. As for today, I will be the MC for the pre-event seminar of the 5th edition Forum for International Tourism and the Environment. Tourism challenges during pandemic, a call for creativity and innovation. A few minutes ago, we just watched a short video from FITE. This competition has already started since the 5th of March and will be ended soon at the 30th of May in 2020. The pre-event seminar is part of FITE series, included FITE Championship and Final Conference. Today, we will be more focused on how tourism industry and institutions should adapt during COVID-19 crisis and to explore the possibility for a more sustainable future after the COVID-19 crisis. It is now my pleasure to introduce our guest speakers. First, we have Dr. Wisnu Bawa Tarunajaya, who is Deputy Minister of Resources and Institution Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy. Second, we have Frederick Thoma, who is researcher in Université Paris Pariang, Ires. The third, we have Trinity, who is travel writer, author of 15 books, included the Naked Traveler series. And the last, we have Dr. Dina Mutiara Lemi, who is Secretary of General Hildikti Pari and Dean of Tourism Faculty in Universitas Pelita Harapan. Next, I would like to introduce our co-organizing colleagues. First, we have Mistress Vilomin Robang, who is Attaché for Cooperation in Education in Embassy of France to Indonesia. The second, we have Professor Dr. Insinyur Ricardus Eko Indrajit, who is Rector of Pradita University. Before we proceed, I will read the term and condition during the online seminar today. First, participants should turn off the microphone and the camera during the presentation, unless you are allowed by the moderator or the host. Second, the participant should not leave the Zoom meeting before the webinar ends. The third, the participant should use their real name for the user Zoom. The fourth, the participant may submit questions through the chat box directly to the host. Some of the questions will be chosen and delivered during the Q&A session by the moderator. And the last is, please use appropriate language if you want to submit question or comment in the chat box. Now, I would like to invite Mistress Velomin Robang for giving us a warm welcoming speech. Please welcome Mistress Robang.
Terima kasih, Verena. Yang saya hormati Dr. Wisnu Bawa Tarimunajaya, yang saya hormati Profesor Ricardus Eko Indrajit dari Pradita Institute, yang saya hormati Dr. Diana Mutiara Lemi, yang saya hormati Dr. Frédéric Thomas, cher Frédéric Thomas, yang saya hormati Trinity Influencer, yang saya hormati dosen-dosen, para peneliti dan para mahasiswa, ibu-ibu, bapak-bapak, dosen-dosen, teman-teman. Selamat sore waktu Indonesia Barat. Bonjour en France au Sénégal. Thank you so much for being here today. Unfortunately, it's going to be one more Zoom meeting. Let's hope we could meet together in real life later this year or in 2020. The COVID-19 situation has been a dire period for everyone. However, few industries have been hit as terribly as tourism did. It is very important, tourism industry is very important for both France and Indonesia, since the tourism industry is a large part of both economics. For France, well, France being the first tourist destination in the world, it's obviously a very important sector. It's up to 8% of French GDP. And I can say Indonesia is quite a strong challenger. It's more and more famous as a tourist destination, and I'm pretty sure it will become one someday. And before the crisis, the tourism industry was amounted for 5.5% of Indonesian GDP. So of course it was like quite terrible for both economics, but I think it's not only about the economics, it's also about the culture, the social life, and I would even say the way of life. I'm not going to go into the depressing numbers of the crisis and the, well, anything that was hit. Just a quick reminder, in 2019, tourism was up to 10.3% of the world GDP, and it was creating 1 out of 10 new jobs. And it is estimated that 23% of this GDP and this job have been put in jeopardy since 2019, since March 2019. Obviously, there will be recovery. In Europe and in France, institutions, the government, they just invested in recovery plan. French government is going to fuel up to 18 million euros into the tourism industry. And I'm saying investment, it's not spending money, it's investing. But this investment doesn't make sense if the tourism industry players don't move from adaptation to a structural change. Some experts believe in a drastic change in a new world after COVID-19. I know some others believe we will be back to business as usual, and I think Dr. Frédéric Thomas is going to vote for this perspective. But I personally do believe young players, they will come with fresh ideas and they will be game changers. That's why FITE is offering them a venue to challenge the existing practices. FITE, the Forum for International Tourism and the Environment, it's a dialogue, it's a professional network, but it's also a venue for young talents. Today is our opening event. The video championship will identify 10 young talents. They will defend their own perspective on tourism after COVID-19 on the 10th of June. And the two winners will go to France. They will take a summer school in tourism either this year or perhaps in 2022, depending on the health situation. And the French embassy will always support vocational and university as well as connection in the field of tourism. In this regard, I believe our partnership with Pradita Institute is a beautiful example of what Indonesia and France can do together. And I wish you an excellent FITE 2021. And Verena, over to you.
Thank you, Mistress Robin. Now we would like to invite Professor Ricardo Eko Indrajit for giving us a warm welcoming speech. Please welcome Professor Eko.
Thank you very much, Verena. Verena, do you think just a moment, I have to change my microphone. Can you hear my voice clearly?
Yes.
Thank you. Bonjour, monsieur. Bonjour, mademoiselle. Bonjour, madame. That's the only three sentences in France that I can speak to. I'm really jealous to Philemon Robang, who can speak Indonesia very well. You get a point 100 out of 100, Robang. Thank you so much and welcome to the forum conducted by the Embassy of France to Indonesia and the Pradita University. Of course, I would like to welcome all of the participants on this forums, and I also want to express my sincere gratitude for Mrs. Philemon Robang for the decision to be partnering with our university. Actually, Pradita University is a new kids on the block who have a very big dreams. Yeah. We want to have the university who can have the international reputation so that our students and also our professor can give and share the benefit for our society in a global environment. And first of all, I would like also to thanks to our speakers, to Dr. Wisnu Bawa Tarunajaya, the Deputy Minister of Resources and Institution, the Ministry of Tourism and Creativity Economy, and also for Mr. Frédéric Thomas, the researcher in University Paris, and then Trinity, a very famous travel writer about the author of 15 books, including the series The Naked Travelers, yeah, and of course, Dr. Diana Mutiara Lemi, the Secretary General of Hildikti Pari, Dean of Tourism Faculty in University of Pelita Harapan. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know that we are now, the whole world are facing the situation that we are not really expecting it will happen in our era. And Indonesia, as one of the country who put their economy in the tourism, is really have a big or impacted by the situation. But what I learned from the young people, what I learned from the millennials, they are a society who have a very creative ideas or innovation in coming up with the initiative that my generation sometimes never thought about it. this forum, we call it this fifth forum, which is the Forum for International Tourism and the Environment. One of the objectives is to come to invite, yeah, to invite the students, to invite the practitioner, to invite the scholars to think about what the country or the economies like Indonesia and other countries should do in terms of tourism activities within the ecosystem like today, when we are facing the pandemic situation. This is a million-dollar questions. Some people proposing about the idea of a digital tourism. Some people talk about the cyber tourism. Some people ask, is it possible to use a virtual reality to replace the situation because we are now limited by a physical distancing mechanism in our life? Of course, my guru said that if you are having a problem, quote unquote, don't try to solve it because it will cost you. But if you have or face a problem, you have to try to make a business out of it. That is what my guru said every time we are facing the problems. Now, the world are facing the problems, but I believe in that problem, we will find a big opportunities and challenge to create the new environment of the tourism ecosystem. So I believe that through the sharing session by Mr. Vishnu, Frederick, Trinity, and Dr. Diana, we can come up with the new ideas, new fresh initiative that we can think to be implemented, especially with regarded Indonesia and France relationship so far. France and Paris have a special meaning to my life, Philemon. You believe it or not, I proposed my wife in France about 20 years ago on last November, 20 years ago. But until now, I couldn't speak French. So I promised to myself I will learn how to speak French. Last time I studied French is 30 years ago when I was in the college. I only stand for 6 months. After that, I give up. But now, because Pradita worked together with the Embassy of France to Indonesia, we want to make the relationship, especially in the education between Indonesia and France. So I promised to myself, starting now, I want to learn about how to speak French. So once again, thank you so much. Thanks for the participant to attend this forum. And let's pray together so that this pandemic will be over, so we can meet face to face. You can visit Pradita University, and also I cannot wait to visit again the beautiful France. So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. And if you have any question, please don't hesitate to call me. Although I'm a rector at University of Pradita, but I'd like to have a new idea, a new initiative from any person in Indonesia to make our life a better place. Once again, thank you so much, Ms. Philomon Robang and Dr. Vishnu, Dr. Frederick Thoma, Trinity, and Dr. Diana Mutiara Lemi. And ladies and gentlemen, have a great conference, have a great discussion, and don't forget, we always have to follow the health protocol. Thank you so much. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, Prof. Eko. Thank you so much. Okay, so we are going to proceed to the next session, where I will introduce first all of us to our first speaker, who is Mr. Frederick Thoma, who is currently an economist and an associate professor at IRES Pariang, Pantheon Sorbonne. He holds a PhD in economics with over 18 years of professional experience on international development cooperation, issues including Southeast Asia, Africa, and Middle East. And now he is based on the Senegal. As for today, he'll share with us about the propensity to travel after COVID-19. Mr. Frederick Thomas, the microphone is yours.
Good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you're based worldwide. It's a pleasure to be with you today. Thanks a lot for the invitation. I hope this will be fruitful and useful from my side. So first of all, I'd like to know if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can
Could
see
you
your
just confirm,
screen,
please? Yeah, okay, excellent. Okay. Okay, very good, very good. So I'm going to introduce a research that I have done last year at time of COVID-19 at the beginning. For simple reason, I was trying to better understand what would be the propensity to travel after COVID-19, and I will explain you a bit more after the introduction. So first of all, just something on my screen. Oh, I can't go back. Okay, sorry. Yes, as an assumption at the beginning, when looking at the situation, definitively people were likely to travel less with COVID-19 because of this kind of high dependence on policy. We can see today that still a lot of countries remain closed or have banned international travel. However, we observe surprising trends such as the nowhere fly, where people choose to take a plane to just go nowhere, go around and come back to the same place. It happens recently again in Korea. Medium term, we think that it's obviously depend on people's willingness to travel, and that's something we would like to define with this survey. And long term, are we going to be back to normal in a way that are we really expecting changes as it was mentioned with this idea of new normal? So when we are looking at the policies by country, we've seen really different types of policy during this time. I mean, for the last year, we had countries with ban on foreign arrivals like Indonesia, Thailand, Myanmar, Vietnam, a lot in Southeast Asia, but also in island destination. While we've seen that Maldives, Seychelles and others try to reopen border much faster than others because of their high dependency on tourism. And these countries in Southeast Asia have really tried to promote domestic tourism as, I would say, an alternative. We have also observed semi-restrictive policy with regional bubbles, bilateral agreement like between Singapore and New Zealand. We've seen the role of the PCR test to try to control the spread of the epidemics. We've seen countries like Barbados proposing long stay visa with the rise of staycation, the fact that people will start working from home, but what is the point of staying at home? You should travel abroad and stay in a nice destination for a long time period. And we've seen also countries like Morocco proposing different strategies like open to GIT, which means group tour, where the tour operators will have the responsibility to control the group, while for the independent travelers, they will have to go through quarantine. And we have open destination, like the EU, a bit less today than it used to be. I used to travel to Europe from Senegal last year without any control, any PCR test on arrival, even though I was traveling from West Africa. But there was some ban for non-EU countries or non-EU citizens. Mexico for a while just remained open to all countries, a bit like Tanzania. in Tunisia, we had health protocol, and in Jordan, we have restriction on the volume of arrivals in order to try to contain the pandemic. So, in terms of what would be the consequences and the issues for the tourism economy, question were about would we see a shift in accommodation for furnished rentals or chain hotels in a way that international visitor would think that it's safer to go through Airbnb as you will be alone in your apartment than or to go in a brand hotels where you know that they are likely to respect more the rules and regulation in terms of hygiene and safety. We observe also an important change and behavioral change for business tourists, and what would be the consequences with the adoption of complete solution, which means an economic concentration of this tourist expenditure with a geographic concentration of stay. People are not really willing to go at night outside and go to restaurants, so there will be less activity. So these are consequences and issues for the economy we wanted to think about. So why this survey? Most studies at the beginning of the COVID-19 last year, they really concentrated on impact. And they only turn to travel risk perception a bit later on only. It was very interesting to see that most of researchers on tourism were only thinking about how to restart tourism, what kind of marketing strategy would be efficient. But at the end of the day, a question remained. What was the travel risk perception of travelers? And in that perspective, to me, it was important to try to answer this question. And so the question is, will international tourism change? Are we going to see different forms of tourism? And will these different forms of tourism be more respectful of the people visited or of the environment? And the question was also, what would be the consequence of making a questionnaire in time of crisis? And what would be the consequences when we are researcher and we have issues such as social desirability bias? And I will come back to explain what does it mean exactly. So this questionnaire was an online questionnaire. It was shared through Google and through a Chinese platform. It targeted first professional and academic network. It was in 16 languages, thanks to my student who helped to translate it. It was only 8 questions because basically the point was to ensure an important number of respondents and to have a kind of representativeness. So the period was 4 months, from April to May 2020. So in total, we received 1,764 questionnaires with 513 French, not all living in France, 273 Chinese, Iranian, Colombian, Australian, Korean, Vietnamese. So it was very various, so which means it comes from all over the world, which was a very good thing to try to have and to look at these different perspectives. We had a few differences with people from East Asia and Oceania and Pacific being a bit older than the other part of the respondent. So basically the first question was, could you please answer from totally agree to totally disagree to this question? I don't think I will change my behavior and I would like to be able to continue to travel as before. So here, accepting the Chinese respondent, for all nationality, it was very likely, if not certain, that they will not change their behavior. So that was a first overview of the respondents. There are a few differences, as said. The main one is for the Chinese respondent, but at that time, China has been strongly impacted by COVID-19, and it was the time for Europe and Western countries to be victim of the pandemic. The second question is, I'm afraid that my financial situation as a result of this health crisis will not allow me to travel for at least for a year. Here again, there is still some uncertainty for some nationalities, such as Asia, Oceania, and Pacific. But for Westerners, they were quite confident that they won't be constrained by their financial situation. And still today, we are not really talking a lot from an economic perspective about potential economic crises, as government are really trying to support private company, but still we can see that the rate of unemployment is increasing, and it's going to be likely that many people won't be able to travel in the near future. The third question was about, I believe that my travels will initially be less far from my home country with priority for my country of residence or borders countries. So here, in addition to the questionnaire, we have also been able to observe what happens last year, and definitively people have been traveling in their own destination last summer because borders were closed and it was encouraged to travel within countries. So for all nationality groups, it was confirmed that they thought that they will first travel less than they used to because of the crisis, and probably travel in the country of origin or residence. The next, I would like to a different form of tourism, more respectful of the visited communities and of nature. Here again, we can see that for all nationalities or group of nationalities, they want a different form of tourism. But this is stronger in terms of convictions amongst the younger respondents, which correspond to this kind of awareness with regard to issues of sustainability within this category compared to the elders. I now wish to avoid mass tourism destination and large cities. Again, most of group of nationalities express their desire to avoid this destination, but we observe differences with others who mention that they have a kind of intention to continue traveling to major cities. And in fact, if we are looking at a sample, we can see that there was a lot of Chinese respondents. We know that Chinese like to travel to major cities. And we know also that above a certain age, people prefer to engage in cultural activities, which for many of them happen in large cities. So it was the case for the two groups of respondents being older, from Oceania and Pacific and from China. Our next question, I now believe that certain countries or regions are at risk from a health point of view, and I no longer wish to visit them. Here we also observe difference depending on the origin of respondent, and like for Iran, where we had an important group of respondents, they do think, and for many nationalities, they agree that some destinations are more at risk than others. So the question is, which destination then? So the last two questions were about these destinations. Which countries and region now seems to be the safest from a health perspective? And looking at the answer from respondent, we had Northern Europe, because at that time, you probably remember that Sweden was trying to get out of the pandemic through a different strategy, and there is a kind of confidence that Northern Europe usually is likely to respond better to a crisis than other countries. Countries from Oceania and Pacific were also considered as safe. Similarly to East Asia, because we had also an important number of East Asian respondents. Western Europe a bit less, and all other countries behind. But which country now seems to be the least safe from a health perspective? At that time, Northern America and USA were strongly impacted by COVID, and you can see that it strongly influenced the answer from the respondent, and Northern America was considered not safe at all. Similarly to East Asia, where the pandemic is coming from the perspective of Westerners, and also Western Europe, which was for some considered as safe, but some others not safe at all. So again, here we can see some bias depending on the origin or the residence of the respondent. So, to answer the question, long-term back to normal, which for us is very important, we definitely observe a social desirability bias in the survey. We have a strong contrast between question 1, which was about, are you going to travel as usual? And question 4, which was about, yes, I would love to have a different form of tourism. So if you answer yes to both, it means that, and also as we have observed in France, when people were expecting something different after COVID-19, and when the lockdown was ended in May 11, we've seen that people all went to spend outside, and especially not in small businesses to support local producer, but in main businesses such as McDonald's and big companies selling clothes. We also have seen this example of nowhere flight, Taiwan, Australia, Korea. So from a discussion I had with some anthropologists and sociologists, to change behaviors, it is necessary to change the perception and the imaginaries. And today, aircraft or plane means tourism, and travel still means far away. So we do believe that after COVID, and also because what we have observed so far is that we are back to normal. It is likely, and I will explain a bit more in my conclusion, that we could see change, but only for some market segments. So currently, from an international perspective or European perspective, we can see that there are no policy. Europe has no tourism policy, as an example. France has a tourism policy, but the European Union has no tourism policy. So there are no policies for encouraging or pushing people for change. That's one thing. Countries are adopting aggressive marketing strategy to bring back tourists, and they are competing against each other. Some claiming that destination is safe and the type of tourism which is developed is sustainable, but basically from a political perspective, the expectation is as soon as possible to get numbers, to get employment, to get revenues from tourism, because we are in a time of crisis. Emerging market, and this is something very important to pay attention to. Emerging markets are mass tourism markets. They are not niche markets turned towards sustainable tourism or responsible practices. So this emerging market will be on rise again, which means it will be about mass tourism market. So can change rely on individual responsibility? This is a big question, but so far, honestly, when looking at these environmental challenges with the climate change and the fact that people are not really changing behaviors, I would say that we can't rely on individual responsibility. It raised the question about the need for an international independent institution to regulate industry mobility. And it also raised the question, and also probably to raise the debate, how influencers can help. So far today, many influencers are not really helping sustainability perspectives. They are in fact dragging a lot of tourists to same destination to take the same pictures. Not all of the influencers, obviously, but some of them. And the fact is, we need to influence the influencer. We need to encourage them to promote responsible forms and responsible practices in order probably to change. What is interesting is the new generation, the forthcoming generation, has been much more sensitized to environmental and societal issues, because we should not summarize sustainability to the environment. We should also think about the social perspective that tourism will bring. So the young generation will come in the next 10 to 15 years and probably bring changes. But for the time being, it's likely that we will go back to normal after the pandemics, because government of countries, they need revenues, they need to create employment in order to cope with the forthcoming potential economic crisis. I would like to thank you all, and I remain available for questions after other presentation. Thank you very much. Verena, we can hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So, thank you, Mrs. Frederick Thoma, for the sharing about the propensity to travel after COVID-19 with us today. It was an amazing. We learned yet gained so much new knowledge from your viewpoint as an expert today. And once again, thank you. So next, before I introduce you to our next speaker, I would like to apologize to inform you that Dr. Wisnu Bawatarunajaya cannot join us today due to the urgent engagement. So I will still introduce our speaker who is currently cannot join. So Dr. Wisnu Bawatarunajaya is Deputy of the Minister of Tourism and Creative Economies Institutional Resources since 2020 and started his career in government as head of the Center for Research and Development of Policy and Tourism at the Tourism Resources Development and Creative Economy Agency in 2014, and he is also served as Director of Development Human Resource in Tourism in 2020. So let's proceed to the next. So next we have Trinity as our next speaker, who is Indonesia's leading travel writer, Traveler series. Two of the books have been adapted into two movies, titled Trinity, The Naked Traveler, and The Trinity, Traveler. In 2005, she started Indonesia's first blog at naked-traveler.com. Her debut book, The Naked Traveler, was a compilation of thoughtful but hilarious short stories for her adventure around the world. Trinity won an Indonesian Travel and Tourism Award as Indonesia's leading travel writer in 2010 and was voted as one out of five most important person in Indonesian tourism by the Tech Travel Reader's Choice in 2014. Miss Trinity, the floor is yours.
Bonjour. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for the introduction. My name is Trinity. Thank you for the opportunity to present my little presentation about my perspective as a traveler. Okay, let me share the screen. Okay. So the title is Travel in the World of COVID-19. I've been, I think this past 13 months since the lockdown and the pandemic, I've been to 2 times flying, one to Turkey and the other one domestic to Bali and Sumba. So this is my view as a pre-COVID traveler. Traveling in the pandemic. Okay, before that, let me introduce a short story about my life. So my name is Trinity. I started the first travel blog in Indonesia at naked-traveler.com in 2005, and from there I published 15 books. One of the series that is best-selling is The Naked Traveler until 8. And 2 of the books have been adapted into movies, 2 movies actually. And you can watch these 2 movies in Netflix Indonesia. So this is Maudy Ayunda who played me in the movie. That's very amazing. In terms of traveling, I've been to 30 countries and, 30 provinces in Indonesia and 93 countries. So we all agree that tourism is everybody's business. Madam Robang and Mr. Frederick Thomas says about tourism hit the hardest by the COVID-19. So it's everybody's business ruin, you know. But we don't stop from here because we still need to travel, right? And then this is the I share the principles from UNWTO or United Nations World Tourism Organization. So they made the guidelines how to open the tourism business in this pandemic time. So I'm not going to tell about everything, but in a nutshell, first, the slogan of the UNWTO in this tourism business in the pandemic is putting people first. So everything must be safe and seamless for everybody, including the workers. And the information and of the protocols must be clear, and then the data sharing must be on consent, and then the digital transformation. We all know that this pandemic, we don't touch each other. We need to do a physical or social distancing. So digital transformation is, the way how to be back in the tourism business. Okay. Sorry about that, but I got it in a free rights copy. So in general, as a traveler myself, in this pandemic, I would like to have this kind of things. We're now seeing and then experiencing that every time we go to a mall or restaurant or hotel or anything, they implement health and check procedures, even though sometimes when it's rush hour, I don't know where is the staff. And then of course everybody must wear masks and physical distancing. And then in this pandemic, since the health and safety is the number one, so every business in tourism business must depend and increase the frequency of cleaning. This is also I saw, but then it's not well informed to the guest. And hand sanitizer at every touch point. So far, I only see on the cashier, right? Not every mall has the touchless button, but if they don't have a touch button, I think every time you go out or inside the elevator, they should provide the hand sanitizer. The contactless payment and pre-booking has been implemented for long. And then the flexible regulation, this is also very important, like a free cancellation policy, because now actually we cannot really plan anything, because we don't know when maybe we have booked something and then we got sick. How about the cancellation and everything? And in the other side, sometimes most of the time I can say the flight got delayed, but we don't get anything, right? Before the COVID, for example, in domestic flight, we got at least meals. Now, not anymore. And then the refund policy also is important. And then miles extended, since I'm a frequent flyer. So every island's got the miles extended. Well, except I think Garuda, because that's the only one who sent me email says that my miles is expired. Okay, for the air travel, so this is me in the plane with I'm still paranoid about going out and everything, but if I need to go out, I really make sure to follow the protocols. So I'm not afraid of air travel. I mean, being in the cabin, but then in the airport, I'm still reluctant, because so many people, and in Indonesia, you don't really queue well. And then how they handle the procedures are still, I think, is not simplified enough. Like, for example, if you want to fly out from Jakarta, you need to have a COVID test, and then you need to go to another counter to be verified, and go back to the check-in counter. And then when I go back from overseas, I think I passed about 5 desks of verification of my PCR test. So that's even make more crowded in the airport. And then Unfortunately, government also already lift the banning of seat distancing. So I think the only airlines that has seat distancing is Garuda for domestic. Yeah, so the last three, this is my experience from flying abroad, that the flight, they already simplify the catering and then limit the movement. Even I cannot bring more than 7 kilograms of hand luggage. But in a domestic flight, like everybody still with the boxes, with the plastic and everything, so the movement of passengers is still going so is going so many times, and then even when we landed, people still, go up and then just open up the cabin and everything. So I think we have to really firm about the regulation. Okay, and hospitality, I mean, he is like accommodation, hotel, and restaurants. So this is what I expect as a traveler. Well, we've seen now the contactless check-in is already been done by some of the hotels. Well, I see this only like a 5-star big chain hotel, but I haven't stayed in a small hotel or boutique hotel. And then they also provide a hygiene kit. Even in Turkey, they just give out medical mask to everyone. And about the information about the existing protocol, I think this is like most important thing, because when I book hotel, I really go to the website and look at how they handle the health and safety in this like a cleaning in the hotel. Sometimes they make a good video, and then they have a good inform, and then they put the signage all over the hotel. That makes me, safer than nothing at all. So, like for example, in the cleaning the table, they put the time last time they cleaned, something like that. So we have to be well informed about the protocols. And then the part, I think now every hotel must, have a partner with the hospital or COVID-19 test provider. For example, when I was in Sumba, in the middle of nowhere, the hotel is, really in the middle of nowhere. So I have to do the antigen test before I fly back to Jakarta. And then I don't know where is the hospital because it's so far away. So the hotel, just bring the provider to the hotel, and then we got tested there. And then for the restaurant, I think now the outdoor area, or any open window hotel or restaurant, it should be done like that, because the air circulation is the one of the factor that spread the virus. Okay. And the last one is for the travel operators and tour operators and travel agencies, which is now, since we are, social distancing, so they need to personalize the small group tour package. It's not like MICE with hundreds of people like outing gathering from the office, but more like personalized. And since also the pandemic, people tend to do the travel in outdoor. So focus on nature, rural areas, and culture is good for the travel agencies. And then free installment is is the best, because now most of the people I know in Indonesia, at least they got the salary cut from 20 to 50%. So when they need to travel, you have to be to have a product that is easier to use, and then the free installment will be good. And also the last thing is I think the tour package must cover also the health insurance. Like for example, if you got the COVID, they know how to take you to the hospital, and then this is coverage. This is also I did with my tour operator in Turkey. All right, so this is the last slide. So my tips, if you want to travel in this time of pandemic, the first thing first is there to ask. Remember, I think because of this pandemic, I become germophobic, and then I don't know, I don't like to being close to people. So when I see somebody who doesn't wear mask properly, I tell them, please put your mask on, or if somebody really close to me, I said, like, please stay away a little bit, because I think some people, they don't know that they must, it's not very proper wear. So you have to tell them, or sometimes they just ignorance. Like I see a lot of bules in Bali, so you have to, tell them, scold them even. And then this is also my personal tip. I don't go in peak hours or peak seasons because I don't like crowded, and I always choose outdoors. So I go trekking or scuba diving, free diving, go to the beach, somewhere like outdoors and not so crowded place. And of course, you have to maintain your health. I think that's all of my presentation. Go back to you, Verena. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Trinity. Thank you for the sharing today with us. It was so fascinating to learn a lot from the first hand as an expert. And once again, thank you. And I would like to remind all of you, you are allowed to give questions or comments through the chat box by using the appropriate language. Thank you. Last but not least, we have the last speaker here, who is Dr. Dina Mutiara Lemi, who is the Secretary of General Hildikti the Association of Indonesian Tourism Higher Education Institution. She also serves as the Dean of Faculty of Tourism in Universitas Pelita Harapan. Her areas of interest include sustainable tourism and tourism trends. Please welcome Dr. Diana Mutiara Lemi. Dr. Dina, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Verena Lunardi. Good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to greet the Rector of Pradita University, Professor Eko Indrajit, and also Ms. Philomen Robin. I hope I pronounced it right. And also Ms. Trinity and Pak Wisnubawa Tarunajaya, all of the distinguished speakers for this evening. And of course, to all of the great participants who attend this webinar. Allow me to share my presentation. Okay. I would also like to say hi to Miss Catherine Tobing, who always become the PIC for contacting me. Thank you, Miss Catherine. So here we are. I'm invited to participate in this 5th Forum for International Tourism and the Environment. And the topic that been given by the committee are tourism challenges during pandemic, a call for creativity and innovation. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. I am Dina Lemi, the General Secretary of Hildikti Pari, Dean of UPH School of Hospitality and Tourism. So this is a bit of my journey. So the participants will not wondering who is this lady that is speaking for this forum. I'm the alumni of STP Bandung. My major was tourism management, and then I got my master degree in Universitas Pelita Harapan and my doctoral degree in Universitas Trisakti, Jakarta. I've been involved in hospitality and tourism higher education for 24 years. And now I am trusted to be the Dean of Faculty of Tourism. As an organizational life, I'm also trusted to become the General Secretary of Association of Indonesia Tourism Tertiary Education, or in Indonesia we call it Hildikti Pari. Other than that, I am also an active member of IST Council, Indonesia Sustainable Tourism Council, and also the National Higher Education Assessor for Tourism Study Programs. And the last but not least is my favorite role. I'm an active researcher in tourism and hospitality because as a lecturer, if I don't do research, then I cannot share much to my students. So this is my short introduction. So let's check some facts, yeah, about the hospitality and tourism industry condition right now. In 2009, yeah, the facts is very different from the facts in 2020. We can say that the hospitality and tourism industry in Indonesia and in the world is booming. Yeah, in Indonesia itself, there are 2,500 hotel rooms, yeah, being open. And then during 2018 until 2019, the total number of star hotel rooms in Indonesia has exceeded 325,000 units. So the Association of Hotel and Restaurant in Indonesia suggested a moratorium or a stop of giving permission to open new hotel developments because it is already oversupplied. But we can say that the oversupply happened because the industry itself, the number of tourists itself is increasing in Indonesia. So the tourism and hospitality industry, we can say, is experiencing a booming during 2019. And in fact, the government already put this industry as one of the highlights in the development of Indonesia. And for the data from Harvard Hotel, yeah, that the overall hotels give a high distribution of revenue. So this is one fact. The gross operating profit has reached 36%, and gross of in international world it's 36% as well, and also in the homegrown. So this indicator is saying that Indonesian and the world, yeah, not only in Indonesia, actually the hospitality and tourism industry in the world is experiencing a very high growth and tremendous development. However, so this is, I think, it's not something new for all of you. Yeah, in 2020, after the pandemic, yeah, we can say that the situation are very different. Yeah, and there are so many layoffs, yeah, in tourism and hospitality industry, because our industry, yeah, the philosophy of our industry is traveling. Yeah, like what Miss Trinity always do. Yeah, always traveling. That is the core of our industry. But this pandemic, yeah, this pandemic forbid us for traveling. So that's why our industry is the first to be impacted. Yeah, the first to be impacted by the situation. Yeah, so there's a employee layoff storms, yeah, along 2020. Then let's think, will the tourism industry die? Yeah, I think I'm invited to be the speaker here, yeah, to give you perspective, yeah, about the future of hospitality and tourism industry from the educational point of view. Yeah, so let's think, will the tourism industry die? Die? No. But change? Yes. There are a lot of changes. There are a lot of adjustment. I think the previous speakers, Mr. Frederick, Ms. Trinity, Pak Wisnu also already give their insights about this, that there will be a lot of what we call now as new normal. Yeah, there are a lot of adjustment, a lot of new ways, yeah, of doing tourism and hospitality industry. The other thing that I have to share is why I am very confident that this industry will not die, because hospitality and tourism have a very long history. It has been happened for centuries. Yeah, it has been happened for centuries, and as long as people have the needs and urge to travel, then this industry will always exist, because the movement of people, the traveling of people, has stimulates a lot of phenomena until it becomes an industry that we know now. Yeah, the tourism industry. We need accommodation, we need transportation, we need a lot of amenities. There are attractions, yeah, and then there is accessibility. So many things, so many phenomena are coming from the travel of people. So hospitality and tourism industry already have a very long history. So I don't think this pandemic will end the industry easily. Yeah, and people always need recreation. Yeah, family retreat. Yeah, and as a human, we also have sensory needs to see, to feel, to smell, to breathe, to touch, to taste, to sense. As long as we still have these needs, then travel industry and hospitality industry will count that. And then usually people will have a bucket of wish list before dying. Yeah. I myself had a dream one day. Yeah. If God allows. Uh, my dream is simple. I want to see Hawaii. I've never been there. I want to see Hawaii. So there's one of my bucket list. Yeah. To visit Hawaii. So as long as we have our own bucket list, there is always a dream, yeah, to visit a new place, to sense a new place, to see a new place. Then uh, I'm sure that this industry will not die. But of course, like what Miss Trinity has presented, there are a lot of adjustment in doing traveling. Even now, yeah, we are still in the pandemic. We are still under the pandemic. The pandemic is not over yet, but people has already got the urge to travel. Okay, so now we are hibernating. We can say we are not die. We're not die. We're just hibernating. Yeah, but yeah, like UNWTO say, yeah, United Nations for World Tourism Organizations, staying home today means traveling tomorrow. Okay, now we have to stay at home. But when the pandemic is over, the first thing that we want to do is traveling. So UNWTO's key message, emphasizing our shared responsibility to put people first, to be patient, and prepare for the time when tourism can lead recovery efforts. So let's be obedient to all the protocols that all the governments has given us, so that we can recover soon. Yeah. So to all the participants, we are not dying. We are just hibernating. Yeah, so don't worry. And you know what? The pandemic has teach us some creativity and innovation. Yeah, that's for sure. Because now, yeah, we are becoming more digital. Yeah. If I may share to you, yeah, in Indonesian, we have a terminology of gaptek. Yeah, I don't know if Miss Philomen and Mr. Frederick understand that, but I'm a person who is not very literally good with computers. Yeah, in the campus, I always ask the young lecturers to help me. But when the pandemic happened, I don't have any choice. I have to do everything by myself. So we're becoming more digital. And this is actually what is going to happen. If you remember, before the pandemic happened, the world is busy talking about the fourth industrial revolution. Well, everything is going through internet, yeah, internet becoming internet of things, and technology will become the master. Yeah, this is something that we cannot avoid. It will happen. Yeah, so there are three mega shifts in 2020 and beyond. Yeah, we will become more digital. The community will become more millennial. Yeah, you can see it here in this presentation. But yeah, what is important that is related to hospitality and tourism industry, leisure is also becoming important. So digital, millennial, and leisure. Yeah, if you see, one point of this is coffee of things. Yeah, having coffee with friends after work is something that is looking forward to. Yeah, so leisure is important to the modern society. Yeah, I think postmodern society in 2020 and beyond. And there are 6 most popular travel trends in 2020, yeah, and beyond, according to Skyscanner. Yeah, I took it from Skyscanner. First is slow travel. Yeah, it's emphasized on connecting with the location your travel companions and a more leisurely way of living. So uh, traveling with itineraries, yeah, with a rigid itineraries will not become preferable. Yeah, people will choose uh, to stay leisurely in one destinations, enjoy everything, yeah, until they feel it is enough. And then there is a JOMO trips, joy of missing out. You know what? Nowadays, the young generation, they love to put everything. Actually, it's not the young generation only. Even my friends, yeah, the ibu-ibu, the emak-emak generation, we also always put everything in Instagram, yeah. But as a trend, next, yeah, people will focus on enjoying the destination, not taking picture so people will see. No, yeah. So we call it JOMO trips. And then sustainable tourism as well becoming one of the trends. Yeah, the travelers will choose destination that is sustainable. And then micro escapes, transformative journeys, and also enjoying local gastronomy. Local gastronomy will become one of the highlights, yeah, trending, that people would love to taste the local cuisines when they visit a destination. So how Indonesia is preparing students for Society 5.0. So after the revolution industry 4.0, yeah, the Prime Minister of Japan, yeah, say that to overcome the revolution industry 4.0, we have to prepare the society 5.0. Society 5.0 is where people will become the center of everything, and the technology is supporting what they are doing. So we are not going to be mastered by the technology, but we are going to be the master. Yeah, so therefore we have to prepare, yeah, as an higher education. Yeah, what is important now is preparing all of the students to become more aware about technology, yeah, and they can understand the system and have a higher order thinkings. Yeah, so you don't be afraid, yeah, as long as you can prepare yourself, yeah, to mastering the technology. Even though you are in the hospitality and tourism industry, yeah, you don't say, oh, technology is the domain of the IT people. No, you don't. You cannot say that, because in everywhere, every sector, yeah, technology will become important. Yeah. So what changes that have to be taken by hospitality and tourism industry? Uh, at first, yeah, there must be a change of paradigm in hospitality and tourism education. So we're not just focusing on the vocational aspect only, but we also have to prepare the students with critical thinking, the understanding of system, and also how to have a good emotional quotient. And then for the hospitality and tourism industry itself, they have to see the tourism education as an active partners. So we are educating the next generation together. And what is the next thing that have to be prepared is implementing the sustainability principles in all of the curriculum of education in hospitality and tourism education. Okay, so that is my presentation. Thank you very much. Yeah, and I would say to all of us here, let's take care and maintain Indonesia through tourism. Thank you. I'll give it back to Miss Verena.
Thank you, Ms. Dina Mutiara Levy, for the sharing today with us. It was so wonderful to know more about your viewpoint as an expert today. Once again, thank you. Okay, so thank you to all our guest speakers today for the sharing. And now it is the time for the Q&A session, which will be led by Ms. Vela Andapita, who is currently working as multimedia journalist in Jakarta Post and is also part of AJI, or Alliance of Independent Journalists. Ms. Vela, over to you.
Thank you very much, Verena. You're doing a great job presenting this event. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Bella, as introduced by Verena earlier. I'm a journalist at the Jakarta Post, and I will moderate discussions during this Q&A sessions. So yeah, we'll listen to a lot of great insights from various perspectives regarding tourism, not only in Indonesia, but also in the global, in other countries. If I can wrap up quickly from Mr. Frederick Thoma, we come to know how the tourism in several countries have different approach in dealing with the pandemic. I agree with you, sir, about how reviving the tourism industry is a collective work, especially we need strict policies from the government. And then from Ms. Trinity, we learn how actually tourists or travelers expect the tourism industry to transform, particularly in terms of frequent cleaning, mandatory masks, contactless services, etc. And then last but not least, from Ibu Dina Mutiara Lemi from Hildikti Pari, I like your quote about the tourism will never die, but it will definitely change. So yeah, thank you very much. And it is quite unfortunate actually that Pak Wisnu Bawa Tarunajaya from the Tourism and Creative Economy Ministry could not join us, because if he was here, we would also gain deeper information about how the tourism industry in Indonesia have been gearing up to prepare and welcome tourists again, and then how the progress of the vaccination program among workers in the tourism, and then how how are the efforts made by the Indonesian government to ensure that the tourism industry in Indonesia are ready to welcome new tourists again. However, I believe we will still have an insightful discussion with our three speakers. So I noticed that we have received a lot of good questions to be discussed, but before that, I'd like to start this session by first asking my own questions, because this is my privilege as a moderator. So, but it's actually also asked by one of our participants, Odilia Naila. So I want answer from three of you, Ms. Trinity, Ibu Dina, and Mr. Frederick Thoma. To be honest, based on your perspective, based on your respective analysis, and given the current efforts made the governments in local levels or in other countries, when do you think we can be confident again to travel like pre-pandemic era? So maybe we can start from Mr. Thoma.
Thanks a lot, Fela, for your question. There are many people willing to travel already. The question is not about people, it's about governments willing to open borders and to be safe enough for people to travel. I do understand that, and even myself, I was a bit skeptical about traveling for a while because I didn't want to get sick. But you have a lot of people who think that they're young enough or strong enough, or simply that you just want to travel. And we can see that the Don't flight, which were given as an example in Korea, Australia, shows that there are many people willing to travel already. So it's up to government to decide and to define strategies. They all have different strategies, like Thailand has a very interesting strategy. You can have a quarantine on a yacht for 14 days, but you need to be able to afford it for that. So that's today is one of the main issues. People can travel, but very often they have to remain in quarantine, and this is at a very high price. because for Thailand, as an example, I know a few people there. It cost them about $2,000 for the 2 weeks in the hotel. So this is, it means that it is a privilege today to be able to travel for many people, because you need to be able to afford such amount of money. The rest is up to government.
Sure, sure. Yeah, I agree with you. So thank you, Mr. Toma. Ms. Trinity, I noticed that you already traveled during the pandemic. So when do you think everyone, including me, for example, can be confident enough to go traveling again?
Well, I agree with Mr. Thomas that it ups to it's depends on the government regulations. But then for myself, I don't really, until now, I'm not encouraging people to travel yet, because
Right,
you
yeah.
know, netizen, you know, they're
Sure,
like,
sure.
whoa, whoa. So I think it still depends on the individuality of the people, because you know, I can go because I don't have parents, I don't have kids, so it's all up to me. So I get the decision by myself. But then again, according to the government laws, like when I went to Turkey, because they really make sure, you know, the government really convinced me to go there, because you know, and when I was there, they really, you know, really taking care of the protocol and everything, so I feel safe. But for now, I'm still traveling around Indonesia. Not around Indonesia, not frequently, but
Yeah.
I do with you know, my private car, or with the private bus that I rent, or private boat, you know. But I can say we can go back to normal probably next year. Not normal,
I
but
see. Yeah. With
I don't think
a
we can
lot
go
of
back. I don't think we can go back to normal again. But then with a little bit of confidence, I think it's next year.
oh, hopefully it will happen next year. Thank you very much, Ms. Trinity. Ms. Dina.
I will just copy the answer from the two to the two speakers, yeah, Mr.
Okay.
Toma and Miss Trinity. Yes, of course, the problem is not on the destination. The problem is not on the destination, but the problem is on the regulation, because now the focus of the world is how to overcome this pandemic. So I myself think I'm one of the mungkin I'm one of some people who trust on vaccines. Yeah, I think after the
Getting
most of the
vaccination, yeah.
population in the world has been vaccinated, then it will be a game changer. Then we will be more confident into travel. But yeah, what is already predicted is already happened. Like people in Indonesia, they travel to the attraction that is near to their homes. Yeah, they are already traveling in one family. But I may say that when we do traveling during this pandemic, it's not as fun as during the normal time, because many people places are closed. Yeah, we cannot see many attractions because this is closed. It's not operated anymore. Yeah, usually sometimes the other crowd makes us happy.
Anxious, yeah.
Yeah, but it's different now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
now at 8 they already closed, so there's no fun about it. Yeah,
All right.
traveling at this time. So we really hope that what Miss Trinity say, next year we can travel again. We can stop hibernating.
Oh, cool. Thank you very much. Okay, so moving on to the next question. We got an interesting question from Randy Wijaya. So the question is, due to the pandemic, on my point of view, the travel patterns of the tourists have changed to more personalized, customized, localized, and smaller size, just like Ms. Trinity already explained earlier, rented personal bus and using private car and etc. So how do you think the suitable strategies to cater these changes of behavior from the tourists? I think we can no longer focus on targeting large number of tourists anymore. Yeah, we have to start shifting to the quantity and the quality instead of the quantity. So I think I need academicians point of views here. Maybe Ms. Dina and Mr. Thomas. Ms. Dina.
Can Mr. Thomas go first so I can copy
Sure,
his
sure.
answer? No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. Well,
Okay.
actually, there are so many initiative comes from the government, already giving many workshops, yeah, and workshops to the small tourism enterprises, yeah, and giving them education how to apply the safety hygiene, yeah, CHSE, cleanliness, hygiene, safety, and environment certification, yeah, and then they also given incentive. Yes, I think after this, yeah, after the herd immunity is reached, then we still have to limit the number of tourists. So the minimum number means higher cost, yeah, for the operation. But that is what we have to do right now, because we cannot be sure and we cannot risk any people. Like UNWTO say, now the priority is the safety of people. That's what we have to focus first. Yeah, but I can say that because I'm a member of ISTC, like I said before, we have many initiatives, yeah, to give education, yeah, and help the destinations organizations to apply this, yeah, and to operate during this pandemic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ms. Dina. Mr. Thomas.
Yes, thank you. Probably two or three things regarding this shift from quantity to quality. In the short term, definitively, there is a lot about improving the quality and mostly in terms of safety and hygiene. But imagine yourself as a politician, and in a time of crisis, what is important is to create jobs and revenue after the crisis. And in that perspective, while there is probably a willingness by government to go for sustainability, it is more likely that we will carry on with quantity in the midterm. I'm for the time being providing technical assistance to the government of Sri Lanka to renew its tourism policy. And there is a willingness definitively to go for a high yield market and to try to extend the average length of stay, to really go for quality and sustainability. But again, from an economic perspective, and because the sector has been economically driven for many years, after a crisis, priority would be for enterprises and for government to go for big numbers as soon as possible. So people can be willing to have something different, but there are so many people which are willing to travel. I'm living abroad, I'm not living in my own country, and I have so many people telling that they want to travel again, they want to come and visit me. So I do believe that as soon as borders will really open, people will travel. So again, regulation will make this flow increase slowly or rapidly. It really depends on regulation. But I do not believe that in a short midterm we will go for sustainability. Again, because there is a need to create employment, because Mrs. Denalami said, there has been a lot of layoff in hotels. A lot of people have lost their job, and they're willing to go back to the industry again.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you. It's everything is actually mainly in the hands of the government. While you're still speaking, there's one question for you from someone named FY. What are your thoughts about a vaccine passport? Is it going to be suitable for international passport, considering the challenges, especially for developing country, where most of the people are not being vaccinated yet? Maybe after Mr. Thomas, we will ask Ms. Trinity and Ms. Dina to provide their point of view too.
Nothing about personal opinion for the passport, for the vaccine. I have a yellow fever vaccine, and in many countries where I've been traveling, I've been asked to travel with this yellow fever vaccine. Seychelles is an example. So this is not something new to have a vaccine being compulsory to enter into a destination. The question now, as you mentioned, is this kind of equity in access to the vaccine. and how disadvantaged will be the countries without vaccine when it comes to travel. So that this is a very sensitive question, very difficult to answer, but there is nothing new anyway in having a vaccine to travel. To me as an international traveler, there are many countries which are requesting you to have the yellow fever vaccine. So normal.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Dina.
Okay, about the vaccine as a passport, yeah. My opinion is like this. The COVID-19 virus, yeah, is very novelty. Yeah, we don't know much about it. So even though we already being vaccine, yeah, I don't know. We still have to be very careful in doing traveling, because some say that the mutation is very quick, yeah, and then there is no guarantee that if you are already vaccinated, yeah, that you will not get infected. You will still get infected, but the what happened, the impact is not so bad, yeah. So I think this is something that have to be very very carefully decided by all of the governments, yeah, when if they want to apply this, yeah. So it will be beneficial and not creating new problems. I think that's my opinion.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Dina. Ms. Trinita, do you think it will help people to be more confident traveling?
Yeah, I agree. I also have the yellow vaccine certificate
great.
that I think valid for 10 years, and then mostly used in African countries. So it's not new, I agree. But then for the COVID-19 vaccine, if if a government, like for example, Indonesia, for tourists to be vaccinated first before coming to Indonesia, I think that's ethically wrong, because we're ourselves, we haven't
been
vaccinated
vaccinated,
yet,
yeah.
and the pace is very slow,
Yeah.
So if like it's different story if we are from developing countries going to, for example, to Europe, and they have to have we have to have a vaccine, then it sounds it's okay. But then when from developing countries must have a vaccine from Europe, for example, and then it hurts my feeling, because they're the one got first the vaccine, but we are the Indonesian, we don't have a vaccine yet, like we have like 260 million people, and we already have like 5%. So I don't know how this will affect the travel, but yeah, it's normal. But then it as Mrs. Dina says, it has to be carefully decided and regulated.
Yeah, great. Well, you're still you're not muted, Miss Trinity. One more question for you. You are among traveling influencers in Indonesia, and I think you have amazing points of view. You're very conscious about your health and safety and people around you. So I would like to ask you, but what do you want to say to the other traveling influencers? Do you think maybe it is necessary for the tourism ministry to, I don't know, maybe hold a workshop specifically for these influencers so that they will amplify the correct message and set good example for the public when it comes to traveling? What do you think?
Well, I cannot tell myself, because I think I'm banned by the Kemenparekraf because I see all my other my friends who's also travel influencer, they are invited to go around Indonesia with the hashtag the Indonesia Aja and everything, but not me. But I know the reason. I'm too vocal for them, so they hate me. But for the workshop, I don't know. Well, it's good to have, but it's not really necessarily, because well, I'm seeing myself, well, for example, one influencer go to one destination, oh, this is, they're very good in protocol. They taste the temperature, then this and that. But then after they gone, it come back to normal again, like nobody like check you anything. So the problem in Indonesia is actually the law enforcement, not the law enforcement, the enforcement itself. Like, for example, the certificate of CHSA, it doesn't, convince me to go, because it's just a label, there's no validation or auditing or validation or anything, nothing checked, just a label. So I think the government of Indonesia has a lot of homework to do during this. So for convincing influencer to be, I don't know, more promoting or more ethical or more sustainable, yeah, it's good to have, but then I think there are more important issues to be solved by the government.
Okay. Unfortunately, Pak Wisnu is not here with us. I hope he was here with us so that he can firsthand listen to your.
Maybe he didn't come because of me.
Oh no,
no, just kidding.
Okay, so thank you very much, Miss Trinity. Next questions again for the academician. I need from the academician point of view. I think the pandemic is an unprecedented event that has forced the universities and campus to now include more strict health protocols in the curriculum. So what are the challenges? And you now have to raise new generations of people in the hospitality and tourism industry that are more well prepared for such unprecedented events. Who knows in the future that there will be another pandemic, or I don't know, hopefully not, but yeah, what are the challenges and how do you prepare these new generations? Ms. Dina.
Yes, we call them COVID generation.
COVID generation.
COVID generation.
You already got name. Okay.
It's very challenging because in UPH School of Hospitality and Tourism, we have hospitality management and travel industry management. They are vocational studies. So vocation is our focus and teaching skill is a must. And now we have to stop everything. But what we have to stop is they cannot come to the campus. They cannot come to the campus while all of the facilities, for them to practice are in the campus. And then for the travel industry students, they cannot go anywhere. We cannot make a practicum, visiting attraction and destinations. So what we can do now, is doing our best as we can, to provide online learning. So online learning, okay, I'm going to see what we've been practicing in our campus. I'm sure that others have their own ways of overcoming this problem. We have live streaming for teaching and learning vocation. So we also make a lot of videos. These videos are made and different from what is available in YouTube by very open sources. So we really put all of our practicum classes into videos and into live streaming sessions. But after the government allow us to open our school again, we will have special session for these students to catching up. That's for sure, because we are vocational. We cannot rely 100% online learning. So that's what we do now. And for job training or internships, they cannot go internship because the hotel are closed. At first, but they have to finish their study on time. So what we do is giving a third options. The first option is going to the industry, but of course the competition is high because many students are also looking for internship place. The second one is taking a break, cuti kuliah, But the our third option is making startups, so entrepreneurships for the students. We call it Hospitur Entrepreneur Clubs. That's what we do, and we hope this innovation. So the theme of this webinar is creative and innovation. we
Right.
educators have to create a lot of ways to educate this generation.
Okay.
Yeah, hopefully
Okay.
what we do is yeah, at least
Okay.
it can give qualified education to them.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Toma, I think we don't have enough time anymore for you to answer the question. However, I still invite you to, I don't know, maybe you can give a short sentence for closing our discussion this afternoon, please.
Okay, thank you very much. We are in a time of crisis. In a time of crisis, it is difficult to make changes at university, but at least we try to make people think about what could be done, what could they bring as students. Innovation can come from everywhere, including from the South. A lot of very innovative ideas came from the South. We should not think that the answer is only in the hand of the Western countries, definitively. We have to go against this kind of current inequity in this situation, and this is the most important to me.
Okay, so thank you very much once again, Mr. Toma, Ms. Trinity, and Ms. Dina. What an insightful short discussion. I learned a lot today. Thank you very much. And thank you also for IFI and Pradita University for holding this discussion. Once again, thank you very much. And participants, you've been very, very active, and it's been an honor and pleasure moderating this discussion. Stay well, everyone. We will have a photo session with Verena. So back to you, Verena.
Thank you, Ms. Bella, for leading the Q&A session and for concluding today's sharing. And thank you to all of the speakers for the incredible answers during the Q&A session. Before we proceed to the next session, I would like to invite you to turn on all of your camera because we are going to proceed to photo session, which will be led by the EV team.
Okay, hello everyone. Before we continue to the FITE presentation, I would like to invite you to join us in photo session. So please turn on your camera. Okay, I will start. I see there are four slides. So I will take a picture for time. So I will count. I will start now. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Second one, okay. 3, 2, 1. Third one. 3, 2, 1. And for the last one, 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, EV team. And now let's proceed to the next, where I would like to invite again EV team to share about the competition. Please welcome EV team. EV team, over to you.
Thank you, Verena. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Massine from the education team at the French Embassy, and I would like to talk to you about the FITE competition. First of all, I want to thank our speakers for their presentation and insights, and you, members of the audience, for your attention and questions. As some of you may know, FITE stands for International Forum for Tourism and the Environment. It takes place every year since 2016, except last year for pandemic reasons. Our goal with FITE is to showcase the best of tourism to drive new ideas for the industry and to create a new generation of professionals able to make a change. This year, FITE addresses the topic of creative tourism during the COVID-19 pandemic, resilience and sustainability. FITE is divided into two main moments. First, a video competition, and second, a final conference. The video competition is open to students in tourism from all over Indonesia. It's already open and will be open until May 30th, which leaves you more than 2 months to send us your best video on sustainable tourism during the pandemic. The video has to be around 4 minutes long. It has to be original, of course. It's a great opportunity for you to show your creativity by using pictures, videos, interviews, by engaging with your teachers, local authorities, or tourism professionals. But it's also a way for you to express your personal opinions and ideas on the topic, which is also what we want to see. You will find more information on the topic, example of videos, tips and advice from previous participants on fitechampionship.com. So please check out this website before you send your video. Later, on May 31st, we will announce the names of the 10 finalists. Those finalists will give a presentation during the final conference of the FITE Championship on June 10th. They will have to demonstrate their ability to talk in public, the strength of their arguments, but don't worry, because the day before, on June 9th, the finalists will be given a coaching in public talk. 2 winners will be chosen by a jury of French and Indonesian members of the professional tourism sphere, scholars, but also members of the diplomatic community. The winners will be awarded a study tour to France. A third prize will also be awarded to another student. This competition is open to everyone, so don't miss an opportunity to learn, to create, and to make a difference, and also win a trip to France. Registration is open now on fitechampionship.com. Good luck. Back to you, Verena.
Thank you, EV team. And we have already reached to the end of the pre-event seminar for today. It has been our honor and pleasure to host this event. I would like to remind all of you about the competition that has just mentioned by the EV team, which has started and will be ended at the 30th of May in 2021. And I would like to say thank you to Pradita University, French Embassy, and French Embassy in Indonesia. We look forward to see you again next year in next year's event. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Bye-bye,
Thank you very
everyone.
much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.